The streets of Harlem are ablaze with a scandal no one saw coming. Camron, the legendary rapper, and one half of the iconic Dipset, has ignited shockwaves across the entire hip-hop world in a move nobody could have predicted. Camron stepped forward with a revelation so personal, so devastating that it left fans, friends, and even his closest allies reeling. The bombshell: his longtime brother-in-arms, Jim Jones, allegedly had a secret affair with Cam's ex-girlfriend. And this wasn't just a careless fling. It was a full-fledged relationship hidden in the shadows, carried out behind Cam's back. The betrayal ran deeper than anyone expected. For years, these two had been inseparable Harlem royalty, standing side by side through every come-up, every controversy, every win. But this was the ultimate line crossing, one that couldn't be undone. The moment whispers turned into facts, the streets erupted, tension flooded every corner. Fans were in disbelief. The loyalty that had once defined Camron and Jim Jones was now shattered, replaced with heartbreak and silence. But this didn't happen overnight. The cracks had been forming quietly for months. People close to them started noticing the shift, the forced laughs, the distant stares, the strained appearances in interviews. Something was off. But nobody could have imagined how deep the wound really was. It all started with one conversation. A trusted friend pulled Cam aside, dropped a secret so wild Cam laughed it off at first, just Harlem gossip. But then came the receipt states, screenshots, messages, evidence too real, too specific to ignore. Suddenly, whispers turned into cold, hard truth. Jim Jones, Cam's day one, his so-called brother, had been secretly involved with a woman Cam once loved. This wasn't just betrayal, it was personal. Cam froze. He replayed every handshake, every moment, every memory. All of it suddenly felt tainted, poisoned, and the worst part? Jim never said a word. No explanation, no confession, just silence behind closed doors. Cam tried to process it, but this wasn't something you shake off. This wasn't just pain, it was war. The kind that doesn't leave bruises, but destroys trust. Their decades-long brotherhood, built on loyalty, had been ripped apart. Cam knew one thing: he couldn't let this slide. Not without answers, not without a reckoning. So, he made a decision. The world would know the truth, but before exposing it, he had to face Jim himself. Look him in the eyes. As the Harlem sun dipped below the skyline, Camron found himself at Jim's doorstep, fists clenched, heart pounding. This wasn't just about a woman. It was about honor, respect, legacy, everything they built on the streets, in the studio. As brothers, when Jim opened the door, the tension was thick enough to choke on. Cam didn't waste a second. "We need to talk," he said, voice low and loaded. Jim blinked. "What's going on, man?" he asked, playing dumb. Cam stepped forward. "Don't lie to me, Jim. I know everything." Jim's face lost all color. The confident persona cracked under Cam's stare. "I don't know what you're talking about," Jim stammered. But Cam wasn't backing down. "You've been creeping, lying, seeing her for months." There was nowhere left to hide. The silence was deafening, and then Jim finally broke. "I didn't mean for it to happen, Cam. I swear, I never wanted to hurt you." But the damage was already done. Cam snapped. "This isn't just a mistake. This is betrayal. I've had your back through everything, and this is how you repay me?" Jim's voice trembled. "You're like family to me." Cam's face didn't move. "Then why'd you do it?" There was no excuse big enough, no lie strong enough. As his silence dragged, Camron saw it clearly. This was the death of their brotherhood. This was just the beginning. The truth was out. No more hiding, no more pretending. Camron had exposed the betrayal, and now the world was watching. But the sting wasn't just from the affair, it was from the way Jim Jones moved, like nothing ever happened. Like their bond hadn't been burned to ashes. He smiled in Cam's face while burying a knife in his back. Cam's voice turned ice cold. "So what now? You think I'm just gonna forgive you? Act like it's nothing?" Jim raised his eyes slowly. Regret soaked every word. "No, I don't expect that. I know I messed up. I'm sorry. But please don't let this tear apart everything we built. We've been through too much, Cam." Cam didn't respond right away. The air between them was thick with memories now soured. Those words, they felt empty. Forgiveness wasn't an option, not when the wound was still bleeding. Cam had always stood firm, loyal, unshakable. But this has cut through everything. "You don't get it," he finally said, each syllable laced with hurt. "I trusted you with everything. And now, I don't even know what's real anymore." Jim winced. "I get it, man. I can't blame you." Cam breathed deep, trying to contain the rage and heartbreak. Jim looked like a man drowning in guilt. But Cam couldn't let emotion cloud the truth. "I don't know if I can ever trust you again. You didn't just cross a line, you destroyed everything we stood for." This wasn't just about her. It was about the lies, the secrets, and now I'm the one left to pick up the pieces. Jim said nothing, shoulders slumped, defeated. But Cam wasn't done. He needed answers, real ones. That's what they used to call each other. But now, Standing face to face in the ruins of their brotherhood, it didn't feel real anymore. "So what else?" Cam asked, his voice low but heavy with heat. "What else have you been keeping from me?" Jim opened his mouth, then closed it. He hesitated, clearly torn between revealing more or retreating behind the same wall of excuses. "There's nothing else, Cam," he said, almost too quickly. "This is it. This is the only thing I messed up. And I've been carrying that guilt with me every single day." Cam stared at him, eyes sharp with disbelief. "I want to believe you, Jim. I really do. But you've made that damn near impossible. All I ever asked was for you to be real with me, keep it 100, and now this is where we are." The silence between them stretched longer than any apology could fill. The weight of a decade-long bond, built on loyalty and fire, was now crumbling under the weight of one single betrayal. Cam still cared somewhere beneath the anger, the pain, the fury. But caring didn't mean forgiving. "I don't know what happens next," Cam finally admitted. "But I know one thing, I need space, I need time." Jim nodded slowly, humbled. "Take all the time you need, man. I'll be here if you ever want to talk. I ain't going nowhere." But as Cam walked out of that house and into the Harlem night, he wasn't so sure that was enough. The air felt colder than usual. The truth had scorched the very foundation of their friendship, and there was no going back. The public didn't know everything yet. They only saw the smoke. But Cam, he had felt the fire. This wasn't the end. This was the opening chapter of something darker. A new beginning written in betrayal, silence, and scars. The following days passed in a blur. Cam shut down. He ignored calls, turned his back on the spotlight. Even his closest circle couldn't reach him. Everyone wanted answers, bloggers, fans, even old friends, but he had none to give because this wasn't just about a woman. This wasn't just a scandal. This was spiritual. Jim Jones hadn't just crossed a line, he violated something sacred. The world only had rumors and fragments, but Cameron had the full weight of the truth pressing against his chest. And when the time was right, he would speak on his terms, in his way. For now, all he needed was clarity. Then, out of nowhere, days later, the fog broke. Cameron picked up his phone, stared at Jim's name on the screen, and for a long moment, he did nothing. Then he had called. Jim picked up on the first ring. "Cam?" His voice was tight, nervous, like he'd been waiting. "We need to talk," Cam said. "I'm coming over." No argument, no hesitation. 8? Jim replied, "I'll be here." The drive over felt like an eternity. Cam's thoughts raced. Would Jim finally be real this time? Or would he hide behind more half-truths? In hollow regret, when Cam pulled up, Jim was already standing at the door. That same house, that same threshold, but it all felt different now, cold, empty. Like something vital had been ripped from the walls. They sat across from each other in the living room, but the space between them felt miles wide. Neither spoke. At first, the silence was thick. Cam broke it. "I can't keep doing this." His tone was even, but every word landed heavy. "This ain't just about her. It's about everything, the lies. You looked me dead in the eye and said nothing was going on. You said we were family. But this ain't how family moves." Jim looked down, his fingers tapping nervously against the table. "I know," he muttered. "I wish I could take it all back. I never wanted it to go this far. But it did," Cam snapped, "and that's the damn problem. I've always kept it real with you, Jim. Always. I had your back when the world didn't. Now, I don't even know who I'm looking at." Jim's eyes finally met his. "I never wanted to hurt you. I've been killing myself over this. I should have told you. I should have come clean. But I was scared I'd lose everything we built." Cam leaned forward. "You were scared. I was blindsided. You had chance after chance to come to me like a man, and you didn't. You lied to my face." Jim went silent. The regret etched into his features was real. But Cam wasn't sure it changed anything. "I don't expect you to forgive me," Jim finally said. "Not now, maybe not ever. But I'm still here. If you ever need me, I'm here." Cam stood, heart pounding. "It's not about needing you. It's about trusting you, and right now, I don't." Jim rose to, desperation in his eyes. "Please, Cam. I messed up. I know I did. But I'm still your brother." Cam paused at the door. "I don't know if I can ever see you that way again." And then he left, into the night, into the unknown. What came next, Cam had no idea. Maybe this was the final chapter, or maybe it was just the beginning of something new. But one thing was certain, the brotherhood was broken. Cameron wasn't going to let the betrayal define him. He'd come too far. He had survived too much, built too strong a legacy to be undone by this. The truth was now outra, real, and irreversible. But it was only the beginning. There were bigger storms ahead. And for the first time in days, Cam felt something unfamiliar. Clarity. The fallout hit fast. Harlem was buzzing. The internet lit up like wildfire. Every blog, every page, every gossip site had the headline: "Cameron exposes Jim Jones for sleeping with his ex." Fans divided instantly. Some stood by Jim, calling it a mistake, a moment of weakness. Others rallied behind Cam, outraged, heartbroken that someone so close could commit such betrayal. But for Cameron, none of the noise mattered, not the headlines, not the Twitter debates, not the sympathy. Because this wasn't about the world, it wasn't about image or PR. It was about him. About loyalty lost out, about trust shattered, and no post, no quote, no apology could rebuild what had crumbled. So he shut off his phone, ghosted the group chats, cancelled every appearance. He needed time, space, silence, and in that silence, the truth screamed louder than ever. 1 week later, he returned to the only place that had ever given him peace, a studio. Because for Cam, when the world fell apart, music was the only thing that never lied. But this time, it felt different. The beats were playing, the rhymes were there. But Cameron's heart just wasn't in it. Every bar he scribbled felt like a scar, every hook echoed the pain of betrayal. The studio, usually his sanctuary, now pulsed with memories he couldn't escape. Every track reminded him of Jim's face, of the words they'd exchanged, of a bond broken beyond repair. Then, the studio door creaked open. It was his manager. His day one, the one who'd been with him before the fame, before Dipset, before everything. Yo, Cam? He said softly, stepping into the silence. You good? Cam didn't look up. I'm fine, he muttered, eyes fixed on the notebook in front of him. But even he didn't believe it. His manager sat beside him, studying his expression. You've been ghosting everybody, man. Cam stayed silent. I get it, the manager continued. But you can't bottle this up forever. You gotta face it. I am facing it. Cam snapped, but the fire behind his words was gone. I'm just not ready for everybody's opinions right now. Not the fans, not the blogs. Not even my people. Just then, Cam's phone buzzed on the table. A message lit up the screen. A fan had DM'd him. Cam, we got your back, but we need to hear it from you. Speak your truth. Cam stared at the message, then, slowly, he opened his notes app. He didn't want a publicist to spin it. He didn't want a label's PR version. He wanted his truth. Unfiltered, raw. His thumbs hovered over the screen. Then he started typing. Jim Jones betrayed me. This wasn't just an affair. This was about loyalty, lies, and respect. I gave everything to this friendship, my trust, my time, my heart, and now, I'm the one left picking up the pieces. He read it again, then hit send. And just like that, it was out there, live, public, permanent. No more rumors, no more silence, just the truth. It didn't fix everything, but the moment he hit send, he felt lighter. Like a weight had finally been lifted. The pain didn't disappear, but it shifted. At least now, he wasn't carrying the burden alone. And then, the fallout hit hard and fast. The betrayal between Cameron and Jim Jones sent a fresh wave of shock through Harlem and far beyond. Fans were stunned, some were heartbroken, others were furious. But one question dominated the timeline: can this friendship survive? This wasn't just a tabloid scandal. It was the unraveling of a brotherhood that has shaped hip-hop culture. Two men who built an empire together, now on opposite sides of heartbreak. The Dipset dream, cracked at the core. Will Jim respond? Can he fix this? Or is this the end of a legacy that once felt unshakable? Nobody knows. But one thing is certain, this isn't over. The streets are still buzzing, the fans are still split, the story still unfolding. So now we ask you, what do you think about Cameron's reveal? Can Jim Jones ever redeem himself? Do you believe Cam should forgive? Or has that bridge already burned? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you believe Cameron deserved better, hit that like button and subscribe for more updates, because the saga, it's just heating up. Turn on notifications, because trust the next twist, you won't want to miss it. The streets are still talking, and the truth, it always rises to the surface.